Hey everyone, it's Dave, and today we're going to be cooking the world's best pancakes. Well, at least according to Google. So let's look it up. Here on this channel, we like to try to find the world's best recipes by searching on Google for what we should cook. We always pick the first top result that Google gives us, trusting in the Google algorithm. Today, it looks like the winner is Cafe Delight's Best Fluffy Pancakes. 5 stars on this one, so it actually could be pretty legit. And then of course, we've got this little quote at the top. Look no further because a steaming stack of perfectly soft, best fluffy pancakes are right here. Weekends will never be the same again. Well, it is a weekend, so let's see if it's really the most amazing weekend of my life. It is 7 a.m., so kids are sleeping. When they wake up, hopefully they're gonna have a weekend-changing pancake ready to eat. Let's see what they got here. All right, so pretty simple. I'm gonna leave it open on my computer so I can do this so that we can cook it together. Let's go through the ingredients first to make sure you have everything you need to get cooking. Feel free to cook it with me, and together we'll find out if we really are getting the best of the best. So looks like our first ingredient is gonna be the flour, which I use the cheap stuff. I know there's fancier flour, but I like to use the cheap stuff because I'm a cheapskate. And then we need sugar, also great value, the cheapest kind I could find. I think it was like a couple bucks. And then we need baking powder. I always use the stuff with no aluminum in it because aluminum is gross. Check the ingredients. Make sure you don't buy aluminum filled baking powder. I mean, I don't know about the health consequences, it just tastes gross. Gross. Salt, baking soda, vanilla. I've already got the ingredients. I don't know why I'm looking at the recipe like I don't know what's in there. I already looked. And I already grabbed them all to save us time. Eggs and milk. So that's a pretty standard pancake recipe, right? I'm hiding the baking powder from the camera. Pretty standard pancake recipe, nothing surprising, so I'm curious how this is gonna get it to the next level. Honestly, usually in our house, we just use like the box that you just add water and it's fine. I mean, maybe to the point where my kids are used to that and prefer it, but we'll see once we make these. So let's get started. This shouldn't be a hard recipe. I think anyone can probably cook this. I did bring a bowl so we can add our ingredients to that. All right, so it looks like the first step is to add pretty much all the dry ingredients together in a bowl, which is kind of what I expected, which is why I brought the bowl. Let me just get some measuring cups and we will start measuring out the dry ingredients. So first thing is 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and that is what we have here. So it's funny, I did this world's best potato soup video. Go check that out if you haven't. At the end, here's 1 cup of flour. At the end, I took flour with the goal of thickening the soup, and I put it into my potato soup because it was a little too runny. And I did that because I Googled how to thicken potato soup, and the first result was add flour. You guys didn't like that at all. Apparently that's dangerous to just eat raw flour, kind of like the eating raw cookie dough thing. I guess it can give you salmonella or E. coli or something like that. Well, good news, I'm still alive. I recorded that 4 weeks ago, so hopefully I'll continue to be alive and not killed from flour. But who knows? Anyways, the moral of that story is cook your flour, I guess. Next ingredient is a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, which, you know, sugar's always making things gooder. I just made that rhyme up, really proud of it. Okay, so here's what I'll say about the flour thing. I put it in super steaming hot potato soup. So it's probably cooked a little bit when I put it into the potato soup. Anyways, I just added a 1/4 cup, that's 1/4, it says right there, 1-4, 1/4. I actually realized, of sugar, but I actually realized that if you don't know your like fractions, cooking could be really complicated. Also, another thing that could complicate it is if you don't know what TSP versus TBSP means. TSP is teaspoon, tablespoon is TBSP. We want 4 TSPs of baking powder up next, which is teaspoons. Now I'm kind of weird when I measure things, so if I see it's 4 teaspoons, I'll do 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon because in a teaspoon, or in a tablespoon, there's 3 wait, is that right? Hey Google, how many teaspoons in a tablespoon?
1 tablespoon is equal to 3 teaspoons.
Yeah,
to
see?
convert
Look.
from tablespoons to teaspoons, multiply unit of
Hey,
volume
Google.
by 3.
Okay, sorry. We'll have to cut some of that out because Google just kept going. But anyway, so if we need 4 teaspoons, I'll do a tablespoon and a teaspoon of baking powder. Powder and sugar, no, powder and soda are different. Baking powder and baking soda are different. So this actually calls for both, but we're gonna do the baking powder first. So here's my 1 tablespoon. That's gonna be 3 of the teaspoons. And then the last teaspoon, I'll just use a normal teaspoon to measure and I'll drop it in there. So now we've got 4 teaspoons of baking powder in our recipe. And due to some form of chemistry beyond my understanding, we need a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. I'm not really sure how it all works to make it, you know, these certain amounts. Because here, if you haven't realized, guys, I'm not a professional cook. I cook for fun. I'm a father of 3, a husband, and I just like to cook. And so this is just me cooking, and we often fail. We often get terrible recipes or terrible food, but that's kind of part of the fun, right? See how it turns out with a non-pro cooking it. And then our final dry ingredient, of course, is salt, and we want to do a ½ teaspoon of that. This is not a really good opening. I don't know. Oh yeah, that's gonna work, hold on. See, it's good I got this little teaspoon that's super duper narrow. It's kind of handy. All right, so that's a ½ teaspoon of salt in there. And that's all our dry ingredients. So now I'm assuming we're gonna mix up, although I'm kind of cheating because I didn't look at the recipe. So I could be not following the recipe right here, which would be terrible. No, we'll check in a second, but I'm sure you have to mix it. Okay, so, oh, I just spilled some. So yeah, I did have to mix it. And then it says to make a well in the middle. So like, I don't know. I'll use this, I guess. Is that a well in the middle? You know, like a little divot, an indent in the middle. I mean, that's, I don't know. And we're gonna add some of the wet ingredients into that little indent in the middle. I often mess up recipes because I don't read the whole thing first. They always say read the whole recipe, like all the steps, before you start cooking so you don't mess anything up. So let me just look at some of the next steps. Okay, so this is confusing. It says make a well in the center to add the milk. Slightly cooled melted butter, which we'll talk about that in a minute because that's weird. Vanilla and egg. Then it says use a wire whisk to whisk the wet ingredients together first before slowly folding them into the dry ingredients. Wouldn't you just mix all the wet ingredients in a separate bowl and then pour them into the well? Wouldn't that be easier? It seems crazy to me to try to somehow maneuver the wet ingredients in the flour mixture. So we're gonna do a separate bowl so I don't mess this up. I think that's gonna be safer. We're gonna go with the blue bowl, because why not? We'll set this one aside. We'll put this here, and we're just gonna mix our wet ingredients because it seems to want us to mix those first. So first up, we want 1 3/4 cup of milk. This is for wet ingredients. Although I always mix it up. I'm not sure how big of a difference it is. They say you're supposed to use like, I mean, at least I've heard that this should be for like the wet ingredients. But anyways, so we want 1 3/4 cup. So that should be like, I can't actually see the measurement here. Hold on, let me do it this way. 3/4, there we go. Gotta actually look at it. Trying to be fancy for the camera, but let's be real. That's not what this show's about. 1 3/4 cups of milk. We'll pour that into this bowl, and then we add the cereal. Just kidding, cereal goes first, we all know that. Okay, so this next part was the part I said we'd come back to because it's confusing me. It says slightly cooled melted butter. What does that mean? Does that mean you're supposed to melt the butter completely and then cool it? That's, what? Melted butter. I guess it means melt it in the microwave and then let it cool so it's not like scorching hot. That must be what it means. So I guess we'll throw it in this bowl. Ooh. And we'll melt it. Oh, okay, whatever. I might have just messed that up. Well, it says 1/4 cup of melted butter, and I melted the whole stick. So I think I can just measure out using my 1/4 cup, right? I'll just pour a 1/4 cup worth of butter into here. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I think that'll be fine, I hope. I think a stick of butter is a ½ cup, so it'd be half of the stick. It's popping. Okay, so that's like really melted. Is that a problem? Is it overly melted? Can I show you? It smells like lobster. That's like one of my memories from my childhood is my grandpa would always take us to a lobster place, and we would get the lobster, and I would eat a ridiculous amount of it. It was a New England thing. I'm from Connecticut, so. See, look, I don't know. It seems like it's separated out into 2 parts. So I'm mixing it so we can get a little of everything into our 1/4 cup of butter. There we go. So there's that. Now it is scorching hot, so maybe I shouldn't add it yet. I'm spilling it all over the table. This I'll just drink later, it'll be yummy. And then we have to add the vanilla and the eggs. We'll let that cool first. Second, we'll add the vanilla and the egg. How many eggs is it? 1 egg, so let me do that. Here's an egg. They come from a chicken. Maybe the chicken's butt? I don't know, something. Maybe an egg path? Still kind of waiting for this butter. Okay, let me put this in here. Please don't get any shells in there, Dave. Whoa, whoa, shot out everywhere. You know what? It's good news. It's milk, so I can't see shells if they're in there. Seashells. So hopefully there's not, but you know, if the pancakes have some chunks, then we'll know that I messed up. You know, as we try to kill time while this butter cools, you know, I can juggle. Oh, look, this one's already broken. That's a bad idea. Because then I'll do my awesome juggling and you guys will think I broke it. I might break it. Okay, here we go. This is a bad idea. I'm like nervous. I do this all the time, but now I'm nervous because you're watching me. Okay, oh, and of course. Hold on. That one doesn't count. That one, the birds will eat. It's fine. Ew. Okay, try again. No one's watching you, Dave. This is an important part of cooking. It's juggling the eggs. So there's also lights pointing at me, which is messing me up. You know what? Let me turn this way and then the lights won't be in my eyes. Okay. Oh, for crying out. I promise I can do that, guys. These are all busted. I'm gonna try the busted one. This is gonna be the moment. No one's watching. Okay, you're semi-impressed. Semi-impressed. The broken eggs all over the table is fine. They were already cracked and gross, so it's fine. I don't know, lately we've been getting these eggs delivered by Walmart and half of them show up cracked and broken. And these 3 showed up on the floor. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna edit that out because I actually did juggle and you got to see it, but my ring hit one of the eggs and cracked it too, which made it. Okay, anyways, see, it's gonna add time. Now I have to clean up so the butter can cool more. I'll be right back. I will say this, I wouldn't have done that if I thought it would go that way. I really am very consistently good at juggling 3 things. So if you had asked me if I'd break 3 eggs, there's no way I would have assumed that. The one on the floor is the grossest. It's like a horror film for eggs over here. Okay, I'm back. I created a bunch of work for myself there. That was a lot of cleaning. Okay, so, you know what though? The good side is the butter had time to cool. You know, big paper towel will get paid because I just went through a bunch of them. Let's add the vanilla first, then we'll add this butter. I got myself a workout because I had to run upstairs and get cleaning supplies. As far as the vanilla extract, we have 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract that we're gonna put in there. And definitely use your teeth, no problem there. People like that. I'm sure I won't get complaints. And 2 teaspoons, okay. So 1 heaping and 2 heaping. Doesn't say heaping, I just spilled a little. All right, then we add our butter, which has slightly cooled, you know? So we accomplished our mission. Look how precarious this is. I know you guys have been rooting this whole time for this milk to go over the edge because it's hanging off the back. I left the lid off, basically setting myself up for failure after my whole, what was that? Bouillon cube incident of 2022. But I'm not messing it up this time. And did I already put the egg in? Yes, I did. Okay, so now we mix. It actually said to whisk, and I actually even brought out a whisk, and I'm sitting here using a fork. There we go. Now we whisk. I don't want to whisk too much because it'll turn into butter or something, right? Is that how cooking works? I've got all types of messes on this counter that I'm gonna clean up a little bit for all you OCD folks. I'm married to an OCD folk, so I get it. Okay, so now we're gonna pour all this wet ingredients into the dry, into that well I made in the middle. And that well did nothing. So whatever, I'm glad I did it this way. That's pretty funny. I don't, like, how was I supposed to, I must have, maybe you're supposed to make the well much more wide of a well. So do that, guys. If you're doing this at home, make there be a much bigger hole because that just filled the whole thing. Okay, now we mix together. And it says a couple of clumps is okay. It's okay if it's clumpy. This is not the job for a whisk. It's not working. Oh my gosh, it's getting everywhere. Okay, let me get the fork again. Okay, I like to use mega fork. This is my mega fork, it's super huge. So we'll mix it together. It says it's okay if there's a couple lumps, so let's just get her mixed up. And I don't know, I mean, this seems like the normal pancake process. You know, look at that. Okay, so how many lumps is okay, do you guys think? I know I've seen pancakes batter with a ton of lumps. So we'll just mix it for like 10 more seconds and then we'll call it done. All right, it's a little lumpy. We've got our pancake batter, we're ready. It says the batter will be a thick and creamy consistency. If you find the batter too thick, doesn't pour or ladle out the measuring cup smoothly, fold a couple tablespoons of extra milk. I think, let's look at it here. I think that's okay, don't you? It's not like too thick, it's thick, but it's not too thick. Set the batter aside and allow it to rest while we set up our griddle. So let me go get my griddle. Not my girdle. Dad jokes. Hey, it's Father's Day, so dad jokes are okay. Now, if you don't have a griddle, that's okay. I have one, so we're gonna use it, but you know, they're not that expensive. If you don't have one, you can just use a pan on the stovetop. Okay, so sadly this kitchen island I have doesn't have a power cord, so I had this giant extension cord. So let's turn this thing on. Does it say temperature? It says low medium heat. Wipe over with a little butter lightly to grease the pan, and then pour a 1/4 cup of batter into the pan and spread out gently into a round shape with the back of your ladle or measuring. Okay, so medium to low heat is kind of easy and makes sense on an oven because that's how it works, but this one has like temperature readings. So I don't know if you can see that, but it says 275, 325, 375, 420. I'm just gonna put it at like 350. I think that's probably a decent temperature to cook them on. Let me clean up for a second while this heats up. Okay, so here we go. I've got my pancake batter, which as it's resting is kind of thickening up a little more, but I still think it's gonna pour okay. Here, I'll put it in front of this camera. This is feeling warm. I've got my 1/4 cup. I'm just gonna use that same measuring cup I was gonna use earlier because that's how I like to do it. And then let me get a spatula or something as well. All right, I grabbed 2 because I wasn't sure which one I'd need. I've got this black one and then I've got mega spatula. This one's cool because it's super thin, whereas the black one's kind of thick. So we'll see which one I need. All right, so I think this is ready. Now it said to use some butter, so I'm just gonna do what I've always done. I don't know if it specifically means this, but I've done this since I was a kid cooking pancakes. I just take the butter and do that whole thing. Now, here's my trick. If the butter turns brown before I'm done spreading it, then the griddle is too hot. So if I look down and this butter is all burnt and brown, I need to turn down my griddle, wait a second, and then try again. Now, that's not like a trained thing. That's just from experience cooking pancakes. That's always been what I've done. When I go and cook right on top of burnt butter, first of all, it makes it taste weird. But second of all, they end up cooking on the outside and the inside ends up raw. And that is not what you want with a pancake. So, all right, so let's put these on here. And you know what? I just realized I'm making these pancakes, but if I don't make chocolate chip, my daughter won't eat them. So I probably should make some chocolate chip ones. Oops, I just added extra. Yeah, I'll get chocolate chips and add some of that. I don't know. Let me see. Do I have time to do it now? I do. So here's what you do with chocolate chips, at least what I do, is oh man, that was a fail. This is supposed to be all beautiful. There we go. It's thick enough that I can just kind of add it back in, reintegrate it, as it were. And then there's that last 1/4 cup. There you go, that looks pretty good. Now wait, I gotta get a picture for the thumbnail because this looks cool. Let me get the chocolate chips. Well, I don't know where they are. Anyways, I'll do it in the next batch. We'll do some more in a second. So basically with pancakes, you wanna kind of start seeing bubbles, but you don't always see bubbles. Depends on the recipe. The ones I usually do, you'll start seeing bubbles and that's how you know they're almost done. You know, this reminds me, I remember, man, what was it? 12 years ago, 11 years ago? My son was still, he was walking, so it would have been like 10 or 11 years ago. And I went over to my friend Brandon's house and I said, I'll cook pancakes. I'm gonna find the world's best recipe. I did this exact thing. I Googled world's best pancake recipe and I'm searching and I didn't just pick top one. Like I went into the comments and the reviews and I was on allrecipes.com. That's always a good one. Trying to find the world's best pancakes because I wanted to impress my friend. And I think at like 7 a.m. I started this process. I searched for like 30 minutes. Then I finally found a recipe and I'm like trying to hunt for all the ingredients in his house. And he had the mix, right? Where you just add water. He had that like Krusteaz, I think it is, not sponsored. I'm gonna look underneath one of the edges here. No, it doesn't feel, well, that spatula is really too big. Let me try this mega spatch. Yeah, it's already kind of ready to flip. I wonder if it's too hot. I'm gonna turn it down to 325. I'm a little concerned that it's a little too hot. Mega spatch is too big, I think, to actually flip. Let me see if I have another spatula. I don't know, can I use my griddle one? That's probably not, you're probably not supposed to use metal with this kind of top. Yeah, see, look, it's already ready. This thing doesn't cook very evenly. Yes, these ones on the outside aren't as cooked. Oh. Okay, so this side's the hottest, and then it goes to the left. And that, look there, I've got it like up on the edge, so that's a fail. Oh well. But yeah, so I remember I'm cooking him pancakes, and his wife, they were newly married, Pancakes, and they had the stuff just add water, and he's like, no, I can just add water. And he's like, I'll make the bacon. So he makes the bacon finishes, everyone starts eating bacon. My pancake project is still like deep underway, not even close to being done. I don't remember exactly the series of events. I know I remember the pancakes being completed at 9:15, and I had started at like 7. So it was like a 2.5-hour project to get the pancakes done. And on top of that, I remember hearing his wife at the time, they're not together anymore, but I remember hearing her say, how does it take anyone this long to make pancakes? Because I had like walked in to tell him something, and I heard her whisper that to him, and I was like, oh, embarrassing. That's my shame I have to live with forever, is the time it took 2.5 hours to cook pancakes. All right, so we're gonna let these finish cooking for another couple minutes. I gotta find those chocolate chips. I found them. I have this really bad habit where I take chocolate chips, right? I'll make popcorn, like microwave popcorn, and then I'll take chocolate chips and I'll eat popcorn and chocolate chips together. I don't know, people do it with like Raisinets, but I don't like raisins, so I do it with chocolate chips. Is that weird? Do you guys do that? Yeah, I mean, these are close. We're gonna look inside one to make sure it's cooking correctly, because I do think it was too high in the beginning. I think 375 was a little hot for something this thick. Here's the thing. If you cook the just add water one, 375 would probably be fine, because they're so thin that they're super easy to cook all the way through. With these being this fluffy, I mean, that's the whole point of the recipe, best fluffy pancakes, I think you need to temp a little lower so you can cook them all the way through. Just like if you're cooking a grilled cheese, you want the cheese to melt. If you're cooking chicken, you want the inside to cook. I mean, no one likes medium rare chicken. That's a good way to die. I feel like for my whole juggling bit, I should have probably used avocados. I have them, and they would have been easier to juggle. They've got kind of like grippy spots, and they also would have not broken if I dropped them. These look pretty much done to me. I'm flipping them kind of, I don't know, maybe a little overdone even. No, I don't know. What do you guys think? Are they overdone or just right? Let's cut into one and see if it looks finished. Like I said, normally when I cook pancakes, this isn't a requirement, but these are so thick that I'm like concerned. I'm like checking them like a brownie. Oh yeah, that's all the way through. Look at that. I mean, listen, you're wondering if this burns? Yes, that was intensely painful. I'm such a tough guy. Such a tough guy. All right, so now we're gonna put them onto a plate. Now, again, let's show you what I do. It doesn't say to do this, so maybe I shouldn't. Let me read it. Yeah, so it doesn't say to do this, but generally what I will do, and this is probably unhealthy, is I'll take my butter and, let me move this back. I need to go faster, is I'll take like a little slab of butter and I'll put it between each pancake. I don't know if that's common or not, but then it like melts as you're adding the other pancakes because they're so hot. So let me just do that. Don't judge me, it's not super healthy. There's another little piece of butter I had in my hand. I'm like just storing butter in my hand. And that one. You also could do it this way. You just put the slabs of butter on the actual pancake sitting here and then put it on there. Oh, that won't work. There you go, I had it upside down. Yeah, that's not ideal because then you have to flip it. That's okay though. Does it really need to be stacked this high? I think so. That's kind of cool. It's like something out of Dr. Seuss here. There we go. Pancakes. World's best. Check that out. These are the world's best pancakes in a giant stack. Very excited. We'll have to test them here in a minute. But since I got the griddle on, let's cook the rest really quick. And maybe I'll test it. That's what I'll do, is I'll test it while I cook the other one. So let me put it aside, get the other one started, and then we'll test it. Hold on. I guess we're done with the computer because we've already got the recipe. All right, put this back. Another go with the butter. And this time we'll add chocolate chips. I want to show you how I add the chocolate chips in case you want to do chocolate chip pancakes. And look, see, it's kind of turning brown really fast, so I'm a little concerned about the temperature again. It's okay. I don't have a ton of batter left. One, let's see how many we can get out of this. 2. It's not a huge recipe. I would say if you're feeding a big family, you might want to grow the recipe, double the recipe, something like that. Although I don't know if you'd want to double the amount of baking powder. I don't know how that science works. Maybe just make it twice would probably be the safest bet. All right, so I only have 4 left, but right after you put it on, you want to add the chocolate chips like that. You don't mix it into the batter. You put them on the top here like this. If you mix it into the batter, at least for me, they end up at the bottom because they're heavier than the batter, and then they all burn because they're sitting on the skillet for like a super long time. Because honestly, it seems like the pancakes cook a little longer on the first side than they do on the second side, but I don't know, that could just be in my head. All right, so let's let those cook for a minute. Now we're gonna try this, and here's the thing. I'm weird when it comes to pancakes. When it comes to pancakes, I literally like just butter. I don't put anything else on my pancake but butter. That is how I eat it. Although that's not true. Every now and then I will put a little whipped cream on it, but I don't like syrup. Syrup? I don't like hardly anything else either. So I'm gonna test this and then we'll see if my son's awake and we'll let him try one. All right, so this is a moment of truth. These are still cooking. Actually, let me check the bottom before I go starting to eat. Yeah, a little longer. All right, so it's a moment of truth. This is supposed to be the world's best pancake. Weekend changing pancake. Pancake? It's a panda cake? It's made of half panda. Here we go. It's a lot of eggshells. No, I'm just kidding. This is a pretty good pancake. Hold on. Wow. That's a really, really good pancake. This might be one of those times where Google wins and gets me the actual best recipe for something. Let's see this. Whew, that is quite a pancake, I'll tell you what. Okay, let's see if my son's awake. Maybe he can try one, or my wife. She could try one. I just texted my son, are you awake? He might say yes because it's Father's Day. We'll guilt him into it. Come on, buddy, it's Father's Day. So I know you're thinking, Dave, you just said the chocolate chips will burn if they're touching the skillet. They might get a little crispy. They should be okay though. He said, my son said, I don't know. He doesn't want to. Well, he just woke up. He probably would want to shower and stuff. Doesn't need longer. See, look, the chocolate chips kind of went inside the pancake, which is why they don't burn so bad. Finding a compromise. I told him he doesn't need to be on camera. Just try him and tell me if he likes them. All right, so these chocolate chip ones, almost dropped that. Should be done. Let's take a look. See, it's actually good to cook the chocolate chip ones at the end because the chocolate ends up everywhere. Yeah, those are pretty much good as far as I can tell. Here, try this and just give us your review. You don't need to be on camera. So Elijah's gonna test those in the background. He's here, but he just woke up, so he doesn't probably wanna be on camera. Dad didn't give him time to shower or anything. He said, why are they sweet? Well, you know, they're the world's best pancakes, and I guess, you know, is there a best without sugar? It's not the best?
I guess not really. You can't be the best without sugar.
Yeah, true, yeah, you need sugar to be the best, exactly. Okay, but what would you give, he said they're not the world's best. What would you give them out of 10?
7, 8.
A 7 or 8. Okay, that's solid. He's pretty picky, so a 7 or 8 is pretty good from Elijah. Happy Father's Day, Elijah. I made you pancakes. Guilt trip. Okay, so here's my pancakes, guys. World's best pancakes according to Google. It's quite an aggressive knife for pancake eating. My thing, Elijah, is I can't honestly think of a pancake I've had that's better than this. That's why I'm thinking, what's that?
That is true.
He said that's true, yeah, like
It's hard to make.
It's hard to make a yeah, we've made dry pancakes, we've made really, those water, just add water ones are super thin and kind of pointless and rubbery. That's why I'm saying I think this is the world's best pancake recipe according to me and Google, and Almost for Elijah, but not quite. But it is the best pancake I've ever made, so try this one out. Links down below, ingredients, all that. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you like this video, and let me know what you want me to cook next.